Looks like it is. Looks like it wants to do it. Let's see. And here we go. Let's see if the sound is working. And so let's get started. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglosh for the WDMA. And we're going to be talking about 3% solution today, which is something I had never heard of before. But before we do, let's just have some fun. And this is one of my favorite Super Bowl commercials of all time. Okay, and here we go.
Your help.
I love whales!
I love whales. Protect the whales.
Let's protect those whales!
Hey, Melissa, now the trees need you.
Trees need you. Which is, of course, a sustainable resource, the trees, depending on how you
The ice caps are in trouble.
Ice caps. We have more ice than ever, but anyway. But there are unintended consequences.
Hey, Melissa, now the rhinos need saving.
Rhinos!
It's hard to be an eco-warrior, but it's easy to drive like one. Introducing the most fuel-efficient crossover, the Kia Niro.
Okay, so crossover, I think it's like a hybrid. I didn't remember the car commercial. I mean, what brand of car, which is a problem for car commercials. You know, you have to get across the name, but the storyline is excellent. And it brings us to another category here of measurement versus achievement. I saw this yesterday on LinkedIn, and it's too real. Okay, so the KPI set is how can we fit more in the can, and so the operations manager said, "Oh, I know a way," and what he did was he cut the balls in half, and you get 5 balls in a can instead of 3. So if you're rewarded by how many balls you get in the can, then the can on the right is the winner. And that's why you have to be careful about how you measure and what you measure. And measurement alone is not the only question, right? But I just thought this was brilliant because there's 5 balls in here, which is I guess it would be a 67% improvement on the can. So it went from 3 to 5, yeah, something like that. Anyway, the world's last blockbuster crashes the Super Bowl with an apocalyptic ad. And here's the blockbuster. I did have a highlighted one. This is in Bend, Oregon, I think. And they rent VHS videos. It's the last one, and they're doing a apocalyptic play on, the last survivor of the nuclear holocaust might be the cockroach, and the last survivor of the mass media frenzy might be this blockbuster. And so they've created a commercial called Until the Bitter End. They're not actually running it on the Super Bowl, but they're debuting it in their store. And you can pay $2 to rent it. Rental costs $2 a day. It will be it will be released exclusively on VHS. I still have a VHS. I've been, chipping away at my family videos that we made years ago and putting them on to digital media. So, I could actually watch that, but I just thought it would be interesting. So now we're going to go over to Summer Gould, and Summer has a series about different psychological considerations to help you increase the response of your advertising. It could be for direct mail, but it could be for pretty much anything. Why you should consider framing to influence decision making. And the truth is that people prefer the status quo to exerting the energy to act. And so the way choices are presented actually influences the decisions people make, right? First, some of us lean toward more fun or more novel. We have a affinity to novelty, and others have an affinity toward the status quo. And so, and apparently everybody has kind of those two things. Okay. Um, and she says, like, if you're going to raise the price, put the highest price first. Like when I talked about my $5,000, come in and audit your direct marketing, look over your testing plan. If you don't have a testing plan, you should, and how to implement that. And you can give me a call at the phone number down below that's going by. Dave Foley said, how can I call you when you don't give me your phone number? Well, it's on LinkedIn and it's around. I'm pretty findable if you can spell my name. And if you're watching on YouTube, howdy, and the name is there too. So frame the choice you want people to make. So anyway, I talked about how I got paid $16,000 for a keynote from the USPS. And so, it sets in your mind, this guy's worth something to listen to. And I got a standing ovation. I didn't mention it at the time, but, it was a tough audience, the postal people. Position the desired customer action as popular and attractive. Now, this is an excellent article, and I recommend that you read it. All the show notes are available down in the WDMA.org member area. So to get them, you have to subscribe, but it's free. And so I encourage you, if you see an article you like, I got a couple of questions last week on a testing article from Barrington Marketing, I think it was. And people asked about it, and I posted it so you can get it there, but I didn't see whether the people got it or not. So if you haven't gotten it and you'd like it, let me know. They didn't say which article they wanted, so they're all over there, all kinds of them. But I wanted to move along from summer to this article by Trung Phan, and I've featured some of his work before. Nike, Tiffany, and the 3% rule. It's just excellent. So Nike and Tiffany partnered on a new product. Basically, Tiffany used their iconic color on the whoosh and took a $100 shoe and made it into a $400 shoe. But it will be unique. You'll be the only kid on the playground to have that look. And but it goes along with several designers and their thinking, and it goes along with Summer's article. So Virgil was a streetwear designer, and he collaborated with Nike to make the Nike Air. This is the original, the Michael Jordan Air Jordans. He put air on it. Little fancier shoelace, and a few other things that he did to make it more unique. And he had a whole line of those. He only wanted to make slight edits. He had done a lecture in 2018 explaining that the Nike Air Jordan was so perfectly put together that he didn't want to do a whole lot. He called this the 3% approach, or the 3% rule. Humans desire, and this is really well said, okay, and I thought Summer might like it too. Humans desire two competing things: familiarity to give us comfort, and novelty to fulfill our curiosity. Excellent, right? There was a French designer, famous French designer named Raymond Loewy, who was a master of combining familiarity and novelty, and he came up with Shell, Exxon, TWA, BP, and Greyhound logos. Cosmopolitan said he probably affected the daily life of more Americans than any man of his time. Okay, and he was in the 50s, 1950. And he said there are two opposing forces: neophilia, a curiosity about new things, and neophobia, a fear of anything too new. How about that? Now that is really hitting the nail on the head, getting the Greek. I don't know if he coined those terms, but man, nailed it. Okay, and Lowy called his grand theory most advanced yet acceptable. So you can only move the needle so far. And I feel like that's been one of my challenges in life. When you're 20 years ahead, no one wants to hear about it. But, now I've slowed up a step, and the ideas are now coming around in someone else's words, but oftentimes they don't have the background because they didn't develop the ideas over 20 years. So he said to sell something surprising, make it familiar. And to sell something familiar, make it surprising. And this all goes along with what Summer was talking about. There are limits, like the number of Marvel and Star Wars reboots. Spotify team found that the custom Discover playlists they created for users, which started as a way to recommend entirely new songs, performed best when it included tracks you had previously heard. Spotify stumbled on this after a bug mixed up people's Discover playlists with songs they had previously listened to. How about that? So when they mixed in the familiar with the novel, then people liked it much, much more, right? So if you're a rock star, yeah, you can do a couple of your old hits, and you can do a couple new hits, but don't do all of one or all of the other, I would say. There's an optimal newness for ideas. I don't know if it's 3%, but something like that. And here's the best story. I'll conclude with this, but this article, which is a 14-minute article, goes on and on. We've only just touched on it. Was the story of Absolut Vodka. I love case studies. In 1979, the Swedish liquor brand, which was 100 years old at the time, Absolut Vodka was already 100 years old in 1979, decided to go try and market in America. So TBWA advised Absolut to market itself on the aesthetics of its bottle design as a 19th century Swedish pharmacy vial. Okay, it's an apothecary jar, right? It's got the round collar, a very straight stem, and then a very circular rounded shoulders, and then right straight down to the bottom. Okay, when the only print campaign when print only campaign, and here's the power of print, of course, started in 1981, Absolut only sold 20,000 cases of vodka. So I don't know how many are in a case, 6 maybe. So that's like 100,000 bottles of vodka, right? Or maybe it's 20 in a case, and then it would be 400,000 bottles of vodka, but not a whole lot. Okay, and they ran 1,500 ads that all basically showed the silhouette of the bottle design. And here's some of the ads, right? So you'll recognize the Absolut Vodka. It's funny because when the Russian sanctions started, people didn't want to buy vodka because they thought it was Russian, and Absolut is Swedish, just so you know. So if you've been fasting from vodka because of your support of the war in Ukraine, this isn't Russian vodka. But it now represents 50% of the imported vodka in America. Absolut went from an unknown to a dominant with a simple idea. Okay? And the idea wasn't to compete on taste, wasn't to tell you how this was the best vodka in the world. It was just to emphasize that it's an interesting bottle. How cool is that? So I hope this gives you something to think about in your advertising. And as I said, 3% is applicable across practices and fields. And happy to work with you, not on how to change your entire advertising. In our case study with Lovesac, they were concerned that I wanted to basically dump all the digital, the website, and all this other things. I said, no, I think we should just try to get a few more people in the store. Keep all of that in place. But we can test that your buying premises all the way to the store and to purchase with mail. And we can figure out what offers resonate in the marketplace. And that took them from 50 million in sales up to 100 million in 3 years. And we left all the digital in place. Didn't change a thing. So we can help you just get that resonant improvement. There's the phone number. Give me a call. Happy to hear from you.